Good morning, Mark. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing good. I got my coffee, and I think my dog is about to fight my cat. So if any crazy noise goes on, that's what's happened.
That only seems fitting. What can I
hmm
say?
That's it. It's just when everything aligns and the dogs and the cats fight.
Yep, that's exactly it.
There must be a country song somewhere like that.
I think there's gotta be. So
We should
how's
make one.
everything? We should. Song automatically popped in my head, but I'm gonna spare you guys that.
What were you going to ask?
How's everything going with you, Mark?
Everything's going good. We're keeping busy over here at Kellyco. I'm sure this was going to be one of your talking points, but the new Kellyco catalog has dropped, and that's just really exciting to see people's reactions, especially our great affiliates that are featured in this new catalog. So I'm having a great time sending it out, getting feedback, and just hearing what people think, and especially from our vendors too. They're extremely excited, and I think everyone likes to see this kind of thing in the industry.
I agree. I agree with you a lot. Um, I'm excited to have it come out. I know that some people have already got it in their mailbox. I got a shipment down here in the showroom, which you and Leilani unloaded. Lots of catalogs. So there's not only, it's not just a few items. There's a lot of items listed in it.
Mhm.
There's content in it. It's a really great catalog, and I think we came together really well and made an awesome
That's a great point about the content. I know the focus this year was on education pieces. What is VLF, VLF metal detector? What is a PI? So yeah, a lot of people in the industry know these kind of terms, just like in hunting, people would know terms in that industry. But there's newcomers that we're trying to inform. A pinpointer. You'd be surprised. We've mentioned this many times on Coffee with Kellyco, the importance of what the pinpointer does as a tool. And you and I run across metal detectorists, people that own metal detectors, I should say. They don't have scoops. They don't have pinpointers. They don't know the value of a small coil or a big coil. They just buy the standard metal detector and that's it. And I think if you want to enhance your experience, you're going to look into these accessories because they really do help a lot. Oh, I think we lost you're muted, which is might be what you just said. It's going to turn into the Mark Coffee Co. That's a new segment, and then we'll lose all our viewers. I'll read the chat while you're fixing that. Christopher O'Connell, good morning. How are you doing, man? Shannon, good morning. Emily, if Emily's there, say good morning as well. Ace, it's not just quiet, it's non-existent. We are going to fix that. If I fix it, Carolyn's going to take a hammer to the computer. I can't. I feel like it's those times where you're pranking me and you're just moving your lips. I'm like, no, nothing. Let's ask a question in chat this morning. Let me think of a question. What has you most excited this holiday season, whether it be a new product that
Can
you've
you hear
heard
me
about?
now?
Oh, we can hear you.
All right. I don't know what's going on with my microphone, but I'll have to do this.
It sounds good. It sounds louder. So I was asking a question in chat. What are you most excited for, whether it be maybe a gift under the tree this year? Speaking to those accessories we were just talking about, is there anything that you've been, it doesn't even have to be metal detecting related. It could be a drone. It could be, new pair of boots.
Four-wheeler. That's what I want under my tree as a
A
four-wheeler.
four-wheeler? That's awesome.
I do. I want an ATV.
Holy cow.
I've been
What
asking forever.
So here in Florida, in some of the towns, they have during Christmas, there's all these four-wheelers with like lights and lift kits and stuff. Do you want to make yours bigger and better like that?
Oh yeah, I want to make mine bigger and better. I want to have a big excavator on the back of it. So when I go out places, I could just roll up on my ATV and dig a big old hole and find some goodies. I'm just
That would
kidding, but that would be cool.
that would be really cool. I wonder if you could do an attachment like that, like a little crane thing, like a
I've seen
scooper.
one.
You have?
I've seen one. Yeah,
That's
that's
so
what gave me
cool.
the idea. I was like, man, that would be so cool. That's like the
Hmm.
perfect detecting accessory that you didn't know you needed.
That is so cool. Yeah. Ace wants scuba tanks. Roy wants to be done with 2020. I told him that's a great answer.
Yeah, that is a great answer. 2020
Yeah,
needs to be over.
I know. Right. Let's get in 2021.
So I don't know. Everybody's probably seen that we're doing deals of the day. We've had a different deal every day
Mhm.
for the month of October, and we're actually running an SOS today, which is spooky on-site savings. So come
Ooh.
to one of our showrooms, either in Tennessee or in Orlando, well, Casselberry. Stop by and see us and see what we have for you.
Do they
I'm
have
not
to dress
disclosing
up?
any details.
Do they have to
Oh,
dress up?
if you dress up, it's a bonus. I'll
Oh
tell you,
yeah.
Friday, our team will be dressed up. We will be pirate. Well, I'll be a pirate, of course. So,
I miss
Mark,
being
are
a
you
pirate.
coming in to be a pirate
I,
again?
I can schedule something for sure. Let me get with my agent. So not only do they get the spooky savings that you're not disclosing, do they get a free catalog upon request?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've got tons of catalogs here. But yeah, just swing on by and we'll see what we could hook you guys up with here. We've got a pretty nice showroom. I've showed it off before. We did some more upgrades. We've got the Ace Apex in the showroom. Without the headphones, we've got plenty of those. We've got Equinoxes, CTX, AT Max, AT Pro, Simplexes, Pulse Dives, scoops, shovels, you name it. That's what we have down here. In the Tennessee showrooms, packed with goodies too. So
That's great. Yeah, you've done a great job with the new showroom. Another call out to that. Just looks incredible. And I know a lot of people are taking pictures when they walk in. So I think it's
mhm.
something, if you haven't been in a while, you should definitely come in, check us out. We got new swag, new just apparel, new hats. It's a good time to come back in, especially with all the savings that are going on. The 31 deals, 31
Mhm.
days of deals have been awesome. Just I've really seen some great deals in there, and people have been waiting and they've been kind of
Yep.
monitoring, right?
Yep, absolutely. I just want to point out Daniel said he wants to dress up as Mark Tymensky.
Oh my goodness. Daniel, you would scare off the little children. You would go to doors asking for candy, and people would just throw rocks at you. And you don't want that, I think.
Patrick said he loves the fall. You know what I like about the fall? We're still not quite in the fall down here. I guess it's supposed to be in the 90s today, which is crazy. But
No.
I like the fact that the ticks die off, the chiggers, the
Mm,
mosquitoes, some of our vegetation. So some of these areas that I've been scouting over the summer that have been so grown up, hopefully in the next few months, all of that vegetation dies so I could get out there and do some detecting. I know it's prime time for relic season right now because up in the up north and everything, well, not where it's snowing, but in those other states where it's starting to cool off, it's the same thing. You're not going to get attacked by the ticks and chiggers and
yeah,
all of that. So it's excellent time to go out and do some relic hunting.
it really is. And I mean, I know I'm more of a cold weather person, so I'm excited for the weather to get cooler. And I think just less bugs is a good thing. And it makes
Absolutely.
a more enjoyable time when you're out there detecting. Because I remember when you got, what did you get? Was it the chiggers that like went all over your body? That
Oh,
was
that was
awful.
the worst experience I've ever had in my life. I mean, it was horrible. I didn't even know what I got into because I'd never been in chiggers before. And they literally, I mean, Mark saw, they went
It
from
was
my
bad.
feet to all the way up my neck. It
Oh,
looked like I just rolled around in a chigger bed or something. I have no idea what happened. I was miserable. And, everybody says nail polish works, but the amount of
uh-huh.
chigger bites that I had, I don't think my skin would have been able to breathe. I would have had to dip in nail polish. It was horrifying. I mean, I itched so bad. And now I take a lot of precautions because I never want to get in chiggers ever again.
It's like you ever see was it Goldfinger, where the actress that was painted in the gold, I think she ended up passing away because you were right, your skin can't breathe
Yep.
and it's really dangerous. That's why, those bodysuits and stuff, you have to, not bodysuits, but the latex paint, you have to be careful. And yeah, I don't think that nail polish would have sufficed. I think that would have been overkill.
I agree. I totally agree. Shannon Way said that finally figured out how to watch from Germany. Well, welcome.
Yeah. Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen.
We were practicing our German on our
Yes.
12-hour car ride to Knoxville.
Yes.
So we could just change the whole format today in German and the rest of you put on English subtitles
There we go.
and deal with us. So yeah.
Shannon said he can't wait to get into the woods, that he's really excited to get some Civil War relics.
Oh, and the
Mhm.
purple four-wheeler. Did you see I
Yes, the
wanted one too?
camo. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not getting one.
And Ace said his X-Cal leaked in the battery compartment and it fried. Do we sell replacements? We do. I think we only have the alkaline in stock right now,
Mhm.
but I could double check really quick for you, Ace. And
That's a
see.
good memory, Carolyn, because I would not have known that offhand. That's really good on you.
That's because I do sales every
All
day.
all
So
day long, you're looking at
yeah.
SKUs and you memorize the part numbers.
Okay, we did get a shipment in. We do have the rechargeable battery pod and the alkaline battery pod. They're both in stock, Ace. So if you want to give us a call, we can hook you up and get your X-Cal out and ready to go again.
The only bad part is deer season, so make sure to check your area and wear some high visibility gear. So yeah, especially for hunters. And I
Yes.
noticed there was a picture of some people. I guess they were hiking in the woods, and
Yeah.
some elk almost stabbed with its antlers an elderly woman, and it was awful seeing the
Wow.
picture. But you have to be careful from the animals too. You can't get too close
Mhm.
and try to feed them or whatnot.
Absolutely. There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, when we go out, I mean, us wood stompers, when we get out in there, I mean, you got the wild hogs out there, you've got bears, not to mention the snakes. I've had a couple run-ins. I remember my first pygmy that I ran up on, and I was like, it was such a beautiful snake, and I was almost hypnotized by it, looking at it like, wow, this snake is pretty. And as I'm staring at it, I start hearing, tss. I'm like, oops, let me get away from this one.
And then the rattler goes off.
Yes, yes. So definitely be careful out there when you guys are detecting, because there's a lot of wildlife out there that can get to you.
That's a good point. I mean, speaking of hogs, I have a buddy on Facebook that posted a picture, and there must have been 100 of those darn things that were all it's like a herd of hog. What is a herd? What is a gathering of hogs called?
Hog wild? I don't know. Sorry.
Let's look it up. I'll look it up while you continue. But anyways, they're dangerous, aren't they? With their
Yeah, they
tusks.
are. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys a story that I have. It's a pretty embarrassing story that I have about being out doing some detecting and new to the hobby. And it kind of goes hand in hand, two stories that go together. And it'll just let you know the excitement that you get when you start off as a newbie detecting. So I'll start with the one in the park. I was out at a park and it had ties that used to be a station during World War II. So I was like, okay, maybe I can find some stuff out there. Now I'm brand new to the hobby. I have no idea what's going on. And I have a pretty big imagination. So when I was out there digging something, I pulled out this big thing and I'm like, I think this is part of a cannon, you know? And I carried this heavy pipe around forever, and it turned out to be part of a sewer pipe. So all of my friends
Oh,
busted on me. So the second part of the story goes, I was at my grandmother's house and I was detecting, and she lives in a house that was built in 1918, and so in a very historic part of town. And there's like an Indian midden right down the street, and I found some pretty good stuff in her yard. Well, she was on vacation, and I was over there detecting, and I was digging down into this hole, and so I start digging and I pull up this I got a signal and I'm just digging away and I pull up this like claw and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had just been to the museum, the local museum, and they talked about the giant sloths that were in town. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a giant sloth claw. And I freak out. I'm like, I need to call like an archaeologist or something. And so I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, there's a giant sloth buried in grandma's backyard. And he's like, and how deep was this buried down? I was like, about 10 inches, Dad. It's a
Oh
giant
no.
sloth. I'm like, well, let me keep digging. So I continue digging down into the ground and I find a second claw. So I call my dad. I'm like, I think I need to stop what I'm doing right now. I've got an archaeological site. Maybe I need to get a paintbrush or something, dust stuff off. I don't know. Now, I haven't been in the hobby that long. I don't know anything about relics. So I'm like all gung ho thinking I found this major historic find. So I keep digging down. Lo and behold, I figured out what it was. I found a jaw, and it was a wild hog. It was the tusk and the bone,
And
not a
that's,
sloth at
but you
all.
have a nickname now, don't you? After
Yes.
that whole thing.
So between the two of them, well, I swing low and slow. So my spirit animal is a sloth, and one of my really good friends, Jim, he made me my spirit animal's a sloth with cannons behind it because of the cannons that I found when I was at the park. So that's
That
a pretty embarrassing story, and I'm surprised I even shared it with you guys. But
Well, you know what's funny about power animals? Went hunting with our president Jeremy Floyd of Kellyco, and we went with Chad Wig TV, and he had him stick that coil. You're saying go low and slow. He had him stick that coil in the sand. He was like a little beaver. That's what I think of, a little beaver. So now we're gonna have your sloth, and
yep,
then we'll call Jeremy the beaver when he's in the sand pushing that coil around. We laughed a little bit. It was funny, but it's true. You know, you got to get the coil in the ground and move it around, and that's how you're going to find those targets.
absolutely. I
Can
will
sloth.
mention,
Sorry, that was funny.
can sloth. That's pretty funny. So I will mention though, in that backyard that I detected, I really need to go back there and detect my grandma's yard because when I was there, I was a total newbie. I'd love to see what my CTX would do over there. I mean, I found some really cool stuff. It's where I found my first part to a Model T. I found a hotel key that linked to, it was called the Three Sisters Inn, and I found a hotel key from the early 1900s. I found like a lot of really good stuff in that yard. So I'm excited to go back now as an experienced detectorist, and I probably won't find any giant sloths laying around in her backyard.
No, no. I wanted to go back on something. You know, again, we always talk about the educational pieces of the Indian mitten mounds. I don't, is it pronounced like a T? I know it's spelled with D's, but the mitten mounds. You want to talk a little bit about the historical significance of what those are from a, in history,
Yeah,
what those were?
absolutely. What they were trash pits for the Indians. That's where they would throw all their garbage, their what they were eating, broken pottery,
Yeah.
whatever was done would go into there. And back in the day when they were paving I-4 around here, well, because of all the broken up pieces of shells and everything, they just started ripping the mounds apart. And I heard a story from an old timer who said he saw them pulling them off of Pontoon Island, which is close to us, and seeing Indian artifacts just falling out. All that was mixed in underneath of I-4. So I could only imagine the history because they just thought that they were garbage pits, but there was some really cool stuff that could be found in there. I mean, you cannot dig those. I mean, they are
Right.
protected. You
Yeah.
can't get into them, but just to imagine what's there, I can't even imagine what was there and what's now laying underneath the concrete.
What would Native Americans use? What are the piles, and what do you do if you find one? Do you call up an archaeologist?
Um, I'm really not sure. I mean, if I found something with historical value, I just told you I was going to call an archaeologist over a giant sloth, but I mean, you got to
they
you
they
got to
don't
use
take
your own
they
judgment.
don't take your calls anymore. Oh, it's
They
the
don't.
sloth lady again. Here she's calling again. What do we do,
She's got her
George?
paintbrush ready.
We were supposed to block her. How is she getting through?
Yeah. But
So
I
it
mean,
could be shells,
it could be
like,
shells, like oyster
yeah.
shells and stuff like that. That's what would be around ours. There's going to be different stuff in different parts around the country, depending, on what's around.
Oh, if it's coastal or if it's
Right.
inland. Yeah.
Yeah, because you might find more like animal bones, like in there,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But there are a lot of oysters in ours, and most of them are located around the water. But they also, you could find broken off pieces of like spearheads. You could find pieces of pottery. Anything that they just deemed was garbage went into this pile. I mean, it was their
Oh, yeah.
garbage. I mean, we know that we used to back in the day bury garbage, and that's where we find our, you know, some of our pits that we dig up, but they
Yeah.
just made a big mound. It just looks like a big mound, and most of them are labeled. So,
So it's going to look unusual,
mhm.
uh, because you have flat terrain, and then all of a sudden there's this pile that has been used for probably hundreds or if not thousands of years.
Yep,
That's interesting.
yep, absolutely. There's a lot around like the St. Johns River down here. A lot of Indian artifacts are found. That was a major waterway too for the steamboats back in
Hmm.
the day. So I just think one of my favorite parts about the detecting is I used to hate history, hated it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's just interesting to learn about all the different cultures that came in, the different things
Hmm.
that are related, looking up, finding old houses, and being able to look at vegetation and tell if there was, the outhouse was located here. I mean, you just start to learn stuff throughout the hobby. And the best way to learn, I say this over and over again, is going to a club, talking to people, talking to your local old timers. They have so much information that they could pass on to you.
Even going to the small town museums, like went to one in Geneva. There's a small museum there in the town,
Yep.
and they have one of Florida's. There's two remaining boats. These, like, they look like canoes, and it has a live well inside the front. It was one of a kind. This kind of homemade canoe, and so you'd fish, which Daniel's probably not watching anymore, but he loves fishing. And then when you catch the fish, there's in the front of the canoe, it still moves just the way a canoe would, but you can open it up and it has like almost these grates built into the canoe. And they had a full example of that just in their museum. And I think what's in your own backyard, we talk about this all the time, literally what's in your backyard and the history of your house, to what about maybe a town of mine or a town over, do they have a
Yes,
museum to
exactly.
check out? Because I'm sure they would love to have you, and especially if you have grandkids or kids, take them in there and learn about your local history.
I'll tell you another quick story before we wrap this up, but it's pretty cool. I'd spent a lot of time working in this town with some friends and learning. We did a lot of research on the town, and we came across this house, and I went up to door knock. The lady was kind of standoffish,
Mm-hmm.
and she started talking a little bit, and we found out that she was the founder of the historical society in this town,
Mm.
and she provided our name, and there was a battle with that name in it. So it was like when she said her name, we're like, as in the battle of blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you know about that? And it flipped her because we knew
Mm-hmm.
so much about this town. She's like, do you have time? Right now, I could take you guys on a little historical tour. She got in her car and we followed her, and she took us all over town and through. We knew a lot of the research, or we had an approximate area of where certain things were. Like for example, the point where they would get off the they would get out of the train, they'd walk down, get on a gondola, take the gondola to the point. The point would take them to the steamboat, and then they'd get into town. And we kind of knew where most of that was, but she was able to pinpoint exactly and let us know. And then some areas that had burnt down before the maps and stuff that we had, she was able to fill in some gaps, and we were actually able, through our research, to provide some history with her. It was an excellent contact, and I still have a great relationship with her. And this town that I detect in is amazing because I took the time to learn, to get to know the people. I've gone to Rotary meetings there.
Mm-hmm.
The mayor told me, hey, if you want to get in this restricted area, just give me a call. I'll open it up. Maybe I can look around with you. So it's really cool building those relationships, being respectful,
Yeah.
following the metal detecting code of ethics.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty powerful.
I see it as going to fishing. A lot of the bait stores, you're going to ask the bait store, "Hey, what's biting? Do you have any spots?"
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's kind of like putting on a blindfold and throwing a dart at and trying to find the dartboard. And
Yeah.
so, what you're doing is you're just refining your search.
Yeah.
Someone in chat was talking to the old timers, like you just said, learning the history. You're refining that search closer and closer. And even if, it was handed down, this happens quite a lot. The story of where that battle took place, there's a plaque on the land. It still gets you in the closer region, in the
Yep.
closer area that you can just keep refining. And if you don't find anything there, you can move it over to another area. Of course, you have to get the permission. I don't mean to go on like the Gettysburg and
Right.
Antietam and stuff
Exactly.
like that. But if it's an area that, again, just getting those that information that you're talking about, it's really valuable.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%, Mark.
Yeah.
So, well, it's about time for us to wrap it up, Mark. I just heard a few showroom people come in, so I'm going to have to jump out there and help them. They probably hear about some spooky on-site savings. So,
And you can't tell us about that?
nope.
Not even a hint?
I'll give you a chocolate bar if you come in. That I will do. I got Reese's. I got Kit Kats.
So you get a free Kellyco catalog that some people haven't even received yet because it just dropped in the mail yesterday or the day before. You get a chocolate bar. You get an unknown mystery prize. You get to see the new showroom, the renovated showroom, and you get to meet the team. I think that is an all-in-all awesome deal.
Exactly.
I'll be right
And
there.
it's Wacky Wednesday, so you never know what's going to happen in here.
And bonus points for dressing up.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's
All
great.
right, everybody. Well, it was great talking with everybody.
Yeah.
As always, a pleasure talking with you, Mark. Until
As
next
always.
week, cheers.
Cheers.
And have a great day, everyone.
Have a great one. Bye.
Bye-bye.